right, here we are, Dr. Wayne E. Brown with another person who we're interviewing today. This is person number 2, and I would just like to give my introduction of how we met, and we're going to have that be our first line of communication. Here I am in Taco Bell, right, of all places, sitting down. All of a sudden, this young gentleman walks in, and we both have our food in hand, sitting at the table, and we start up a conversation. So that's pretty much how this evolved. But before we begin, I would just like to say, in our conversation via sitting down at the table at Taco Bell, the things that came about that led to a discussion in terms of where we see ourselves at present in a year from now, in 5 years from now, in 10 years from now. This is all that evolved, which allowed us to be able to say, please come and sit down and let's have a chat about some of the life experiences that you have had, some of the goals that you have, and to be able to put a framework around those ideas to bring them into reality. So first off, please introduce yourself and tell us where you're from, why you're here in warm, beautiful Okinawa, and let's use that as a starting point.
My name is Rayford Miller. I was born in Dallas, Texas. I went to South Oak Cliff High School, and I've been in the Marine Corps for 21 and a half years now, which is the reason why I'm here. My job inside the Marine Corps, I'm a collection intelligence manager, which means that I plan how we collect information that the commanders here want to know about.
Okay, good. So that's what brought you from the States over here to Okinawa. How's your experience been now that you can say that you've been in Okinawa for a while? How long have you been in Okinawa?
I've been here 2 years now, and this is a beautiful island. It's an amazing opportunity to be here. It's a subtropical island, beautiful beaches, lukewarm water like nowhere else in the world, and the place where I live at has amazing views. It's a spectacular place to be and live and even have your family. I love being here.
Okay. Now, being here in Okinawa, that brings us to the next question, because you won't be here that much longer, will you?
Oh, I will not.
Now, why are you leaving and where are you going next?
So my time is up. Like I said, I've been here 21 and a half years. I'm retiring from the Marine Corps now, and I'm looking to go to the DMV, the Washington, D.C., Maryland, Virginia area, and start up a new career, get back in finishing up my schooling, which is achieving my bachelor's degree, which is I'm about a little shy of a year away from, and then continuing on to law school.
Okay, and what I want to ask you is this. You're an active duty person.
Yes, I am.
Okay, you're presently an active duty person. You are about to exit the military.
Yes.
You have access to the GI Bill and so forth.
Yes.
What was the impetus? What made you say, I want to take advantage of that and get this education? And why now, not before, or why now and not later?
So I actually joined the Marine Corps because of the benefits, and since I've been in, those benefits have continued to get better and better. I have obtained some of my education during my time in the Marine Corps, but I decided to change my degree from law to communication because our world is basically a reflection of how we communicate, and I became fascinated with the ideations of communication and decided to pursue that degree because of that. I do have a very taxing job which sometimes demands 100% of my attention, so there's been a lot of times in my careers where I've taken breaks, and I always felt that unless I'm like fully committed to go and get that excellent grade, because I knew what my end goals were, which was going to law school, that I didn't want to risk, not being focused enough in my education because it's important to me.
Okay, So there were actually, you had responsibilities, obligations that
Yes.
said, hey, there are things that I need to do before I dive right in, or I should say truly invest myself in getting the education and following through. So now you're saying that before I leave the military, I want to go ahead and make sure that I want to make sure that I finish as much as I possibly can and keep that goal of going to law school, keep that in view, right? So you're actually saying, I've changed my major, but you're still pre-law, aren't you?
It's communication. It's not pre-law, because I wouldn't be studying cases and like studying law, but I'll be studying concepts of how humans interact, how organizations interact, how we come to develop this world that we live in. So it's a little bit of view, but it applies, I believe, to what I'm trying to do as well.
What I'm saying is it's that prerequisite for law school.
Yes.
So the next step is law school.
Yes.
Do you see yourself as taking a break? Do you say that, for example, hypothetically, 2019, I graduate with my degree in hand. When does law school come into play? A year later, same year? What's your timeline?
So most law schools only allow you to start in August time frame, in the fall. So my goal school is to attend Georgetown University, which my GI Bill, along with the Yellow Ribbon Program, is going to allow me to attend there not paying any tuition. So that's pretty amazing. And I will be going as soon as they possible, as soon as I finish my bachelor. So it will be probably 2020, looking at the time frames, because me being a little shy of a year away from my degree, I won't be completely finished by August. I'll probably be finishing up in like September, October.
And why law school?
It's an enabler. Law school is going to allow me to get the knowledge, the capability to understand my ultimate goal, which is to take the African American community and lift us up. Taking one individual at a time and enhancing their lives through business, through creating and developing and maintaining opportunities within our communities, within our cities. I believe that is the best way we can empower our youth, is to teach them, give them education, and give them opportunities within us, not outside of us, but within us.
In law school, of course, there are various types of lawyers. So which type of law do you seek to practice?
I'm going to business, international business, to be particular, but I'll plan to do both type of business, in international business law, for those exact reasons, so I can understand what the money transfer, the currency exchanges, the state rules, the law, the federal laws, other countries' laws, and how to properly, because we're going to need investors, right? Like, it's some things we're going to be able to build up, but we're not going to be able to build up everything by ourselves. And I believe at this stage in 2019, 2020, we have to look, get more creative in how we're looking and where we're looking. And that's the reason why I'm looking at international law. Okay. International business, excuse me.
And being international, because we are international, right? We're actually in Okinawa. What would you say to that person who has not left the confines of their city, their state, or even the borders of their home country via the United States? But also, we have viewers coming in from various countries, right? But let's specifically look at home. When you say that we should expand and look at the international view, what would you tell that person who has interests of possibly branching outside of their city, their state, and the country?
Well, that's very important, because you brought up the word interest, right? So taking your drive, taking your motivation, and that speaks to the idealization of they see themselves in a different way. So go out there and get it. Go out there and experience that. We all are molds and shapes of the things that we experience, right? So in order to get to where you want to be at, you have to put yourself out there to be molded, to get that experience, so you can become what you want to become.
What challenges have you had to overcome, right? So I'm thinking that could be from work, could be from youth, could be at present, but overall, when you look at the scope, You've had to overcome many challenges, I'm sure, as we all have. Just capitalize and mention some of the challenges that you've had to overcome.
So I've had a very good career inside the United States Marine Corps. It's been very rewarding, and I've appreciated it a lot. You know, the opportunity was amazing. That said, with everything I have, everything has its good sides and its bad sides. So like not being able to focus on my education as much as I would have wanted to, because I want to focus on the job that I was doing, you know, create, you know, what I swore to go in and do. So that was my main focus. That's the purpose why I was here. So that was one of the hurdles, but also just being an African American male. Like we were speaking about earlier, I did a little research back in the day, and the African American household average $38,000 a year, which is the bottom in the United States. The top, which is Indian, average $138,000, over 3 times more than our average. I look at that, and I don't just look at myself and, you know, the privileges I had and, you know, being able to be more prosperous, but how are my people doing? And that makes me like look at the situation, and that's how I'm doing. And I want to make everybody, as much as I can, one at a time, better. And hopefully those ones that I touch go out and touch somebody else, and it just multitudes and grows from that.
So you see law as a vehicle for yourself to be able to have that influence on other people's lives, to be that transformational person in other people's lives, basically through law, and the things that you're able to do through law. Open up eyes, possibly give guidance, possibly talk about business development. And you see law as that tool, that vehicle that will allow you to do so.
I totally do. That's exactly, you're right on key, right on point. Because if I just come in there with no experience, but just an idea, right? Like, I may be sending them down the wrong path. I need to make sure that I have that knowledge, that capability to enable them, to enable the ones that they're trying to enable, to create those jobs, to create those opportunities. Without that knowledge, I could go out and hire a lawyer, right? But like, I want to make this is something, an important part of the cycle, a gear that I feel like needs to have the proper drive, you know. And since it is my goal, my vision, that, like I said, I want to develop an empire, but I don't want to own it. I want you to own it. But this
you're gonna have to go a little detail, because that is very cliche in saying that you want to build an empire, but
yes,
yet you don't want to be the person at the top of that empire. So please explain, what does that mean? How does that translate to people who's watching? How does that translate to that person that's saying, I'm really curious as to what you're trying to do here, right? So what does that mean when you say you want to build something, but yet you don't want to be a part of that, the higher echelon of what that is?
So it's kind of a deep thing. It takes a little time to explain, but I spoke to you about my concept of REACT-D, which is an acronym, but it's also a word in the sense that everything that happens in life.
Spell that out, because I know what that is.
Yes.
And you mentioned that to me, which is very creative. Listen to what he's actually saying. This his term, okay, and is it acronyms to specific words that have wonderful meanings. But let us listen to what he's going to say.
So, R, renascent, which means to be reborn. And I took that from a biblical term which goes back to Christ. Through life, we got to find ways to re-energize ourselves, be reborn. You know, whatever turbulence, conflict, things that are happening in your life, find the ways to overcome those. And I've used being reborn as a way to say that. And in order to do that, though, you have to have the E, which is endurance. It's a hard battle life. And getting the energy, getting the drive, taking the motivation, like reborn and getting the endurance and getting into it. Which, getting into it, you have to have something that you're aspiring towards. Aspire. We can achieve greatness. We can go up out into the world but you have to endure, you have to inspire for it. You have to go out and just reach for the stars. And doing that through C, Christ, He will enable you. He will take you there. He will help you get there. And through your life experiences, through Him, you will get the techniques in order to get the job done. Figure out what needs to be done. Learning from your mistakes. Becoming better each and every day. And then last, embryogenesis, which for me, I changed the meaning of this word. It's a scientific term, but I take it from embryo, which we are embryo, we are a child. Genesis at the beginning. Teaching our youth from the beginning. Our youth, the sooner we can teach them all those things, the sooner that they can start improving themselves, driving, getting inspired, knowing that they have to endure greatness, getting the right techniques, and achieving all the things that we didn't see, we didn't do yet. That's what I hope for. Them to be 10 times greater than we are, 100 times greater.
What was the inspiration for you to come up with this term? What gave you the idea to say, I'm going to create a term here, and I'm going to use acronyms to pretty much define this term and use this as a driving point? What was that inspiration?
So there was a time in my life in the Marine Corps. I say I was in the Marine Corps at the time about 8 years. My ex-wife at the time had made a pretty bad mistake that I was being held accountable for. I took 100% ownership of it and said, give it to me. One day, it took my rank. They put me on probation and said, you're in trouble, you're a lower rank, that's it for you. I went and I made that acronym that night so that regardless of me having a setback, I'm not gonna allow this to dictate where my life takes me. And I made this, I prayed about it, and the next day, my commanding officer pulled me inside his office and he gave me back my rank.
Wow. Wow.
And he tells me, I believe in you. Go out and do what you do. And they removed the whole entire incident from my record. About 6 months later, after him observing the things that I was driving towards over that time frame, which enabled me to honestly be here today, because I'm in a very competitive field. Any type of blemish would have ended my career. So that's
you're giving me a lot of stuff to think about, because obviously to have your rank taken from you and to get your rank back, even though I'm not active duty, I've never been in the military, I would assume that doesn't happen too often.
I've never seen that happen.
Right? Right, I would assume that does not happen often at all, but that happened for you, okay? So what that tells me is that the purpose that you have come up with this title, the purpose that you come up with this acronym is a unique experience, right? Something that you can tell others, something that you can live by. When you reflect and think back to that incident, there had to have been something that changed the mind of your higher ranking, those who are higher ranking than you, and to have them reconsider that incident, they had to look at you. They had to see something inside of yourself to give them that feeling to say, we're going to go through that paperwork again to change this. Okay? So you have been that change agent even before you have developed that acronym, even before you are the person that you are today. Something has always been pushing you. Something has always been recognized by others about you so that they could see who you are, possibly before you've seen it within yourself. I don't know. Okay? But the reality is that experience was definitely a game changer.
Most definitely was a game changer. It gave me a lot of clarity. It gave me the tool to motivate others, because it gave me a platform, which when I start up my overall goal of having an organization of organizations of companies that assist each other across the world in growing and developing. It gave me that. Like it was the first steps towards me like envisioning that goal and coming into contact with individuals like yourself and others that I met over the time, that I see the pieces coming together. I see my stream in life taking me in that direction. Even like at times where I have like maybe some doubt, like maybe this isn't the right way. Is this what God wants for me? Am I doing the right thing? Something happens and it shows me, yes, this is exactly the right way.
So should things pan out exactly how you have envisioned, let's just say hypothetically, things pan out according to this plan, right? Give me a 5-year, give me a 10-year, give me a 20-year scenario of what you're projecting, where you're going.
So in 5 years, I will have my J.D. hopefully at Georgetown University. During that time frame, though, I would have already been working with individuals that I have relationships with and helping them with their companies, you know, working with my own companies, getting more of a name to myself and a proof of not only through my degree, but through the work I've achieved, that I've done this with this company, I've done it with this company, and I can do this with your company. And I want you to come partner up with us to change the world. So I'm hoping between 5 to 6 years, I'm in a place where I have about 8 to 10 companies that I'm working with.
Working with means in lines of consultation.
Consultation, it might be part ownership, it might be investment. I'm hoping to have a array of business looking at focusing within the human life, the human experience. Like, what do humans need every day? Sticking with the basics. You know, how can you work? You can't work without childcare. You know, developing a body, having a gym. You know, you need uniforms, you need clothing, right? You need food. You know, so developing healthy, solid, wholesome, pure businesses that focus around things that we can immediately put in the community. The 10-year plan will be taking the investments from this and then building companies that are pulling income from outside our community. I'm hoping to be there by that point. So like, maybe it might be a telemarketing company. I don't know. I want other people's ideas. It's like I spoke earlier about this is the empire, right? But if you want to own your business and you just want partnerships 100%, that's fine. I'm 100% good with that. You know, if you need that assistance and us to help, I'm fine with that as well too, right? You know, whatever we can do to develop our communities, as long as we're creating jobs, we're creating opportunities, and we're reaching back and teaching the youth. Like that's like so important to this whole thing, because without having that, like, where are they gonna go? What are they gonna have? You know, what are we passing down to them? That's.
I got you, and that's the 5 and 10 year. So we're gonna advance this now to 20 years in the future, okay? And one of the key questions that I've asked you, even on day one that we met at Taco Bell, was where do you project all this education that you're after? What do you see 20 years from now? How will you see yourself as being that transformational leader, okay? In terms of community, in terms of self, and in terms of mentorship, in terms of all those people that you come in contact with. 20 years down the line, where do you see yourself?
20 years from the line, I'm hoping to be in a position to still mentor. I'm not looking at trying to be on the top necessarily, but in the weeds, involved, talking, like almost like an educator, you know, because educators are some of the brightest minds that we have, but where are they located at the lowest levels of humans, right? So touching them, enabling them, because that cycle, that process needs to continue. So that would be where I want to be at after 20 years, is somebody else taking their direction. I might be in the advisement role, but my main focus is continuing the cycle of teaching the youth, that end part.
This is what I hear, and this is very key to a constructive plan, right? So we're saying 20 years from now, an established lawyer, clients that he not only has consultation with, he's actually in partnership with, he's doing business development. There's an entrepreneurial connection to he and his clients equally as well. What we got to ask the question is, financially, where do you see this? Because ideas are great, but ideas too need backing, right? We live in a world where we're talking about where does the money come in equally as well. So financially, in 20 years, where do you see yourself?
I just want to be comfortable. It's possible I could be a multi-millionaire. I'm very comfortable saying I'm going to be making over 250. But it doesn't really, it matters to me as long as I'm comfortable and I can take care of my family and I can do the things I want to do. More importantly is what I'm able to touch, what I'm able to influence. That'll be really the fulfilling part of when I look at what I'm earning. My earning would be your success, that person's success, everybody's success around me. I had this concept I came up with a long time ago, and I always tell my teams that I work with, it's the elevator effect. If I enable you, I enable everybody in the team, right? And I give you everything I got. It does two things. First thing it does is we get it all inside the elevator and we're going up together. But because I inspire, because I had the endurance, I had that drive, it gives me that much more reason to go out and do more, become better. Just excel where I'm at, not getting comfortable. So that's my elevator effect, and I think it's very important because in a lot of places you have people that hold off information, they hold it tight for that protection. But
my idea of his elevator effect, I'm hoping that your elevator effect will bring in great financial resource. And I'm not being conservative with that. I mean actually in the millions, in the tens of millions, if not more. Why do I say that? Because you have some great ideas. And with those great ideas, it does take financial backing and responsibility. We actually need the creative social entrepreneur that actually has a conscience, who has a mind, right? Who wants to do something of service with that. So there's a financial necessity that comes with that. A financial necessity comes with that, right? So within your promotion, you're going to have the law support behind you. You're going to know what you can and can't do based upon laws. You want to do stuff within the community, okay? Communities are built upon networks. Networks need levels of communication. There needs to be finances. It's a whole gamut of things that come into play. So never downplay the aspect of how financial resource is important and is valuable, even to shoot for it at a high level. So go for it. Go for it and get where, have no limitations in terms of what it might take to fulfill that dream of yours, where it comes to the financial backing that will support that dream. Okay? So go for it. Go high. Shoot high. Understand that the tool of what finances can do could make your dream more efficient. And I believe that that's true, and I think that's something that you should go for. I believe in entrepreneurs. I teach my students who's getting their MBA. I teach my students who's getting their undergraduate degree in business. The same concept. What we study in the classroom has to be applicable in reality. How does this apply to you? We read about those and we study about those who have great success. Some had institutional education. Some did not. Some started school and many dropped out of school to follow that dream, follow that idea. This is what we read about, okay? When you apply that to self, put yourself in that person's shoes of that successful person and possibly work backwards if that works for you. You may have to work forward, okay? But nevertheless, remove the boundary, remove this box, and go high. All right. Hey, I want to follow up here before we finish off today. I want you to go ahead, Ray, to talk a little bit about yourself in terms of what advice would you give to that younger person, to that person who's, first of all, let's talk about the youth. Let's give to the youth. So let's talk about to that younger person who you want to have an effect on. You want to have a direct transformational effect upon their life. What would you say to that person who's watching this, that young person?
In your life right now, you probably experienced a lot of things, but as we spoke in the beginning of this, the world is vast, and the knowledge you have right now is only a reflection of what you've experienced. I encourage you to go out and venture for knowledge, venture for education. Go out and learn more about the things around you. Get in deep. Go wide, go deep, go in all different directions, and find your purpose as soon as you can. Like, don't be afraid to try new things, and don't get discouraged, because you will fail. But failure is the best teacher, it's the best lesson giver, and it's going to help you get to where you want to be at in life.
What about to that person who is the same age group that you're in? Okay, maybe they're on the wall, they're on the fence in terms of education, they're on the fence in terms of following that dream, following that passion of saying, hey, this is something that I've been thinking about for a while. Their consideration, but they haven't actually taken those steps to go out to fully go in, all in for it. What would you say to that person?
So we're in the same shoes. Like, we know what makes us happy. We know what we want in a lot of cases, right? The question is now is, are you going to go out and get it? It may be a comfortable life, relaxing. It may be going out and achieving, a new greatness, a new level of things. Don't be afraid. If you want education, you want money, you want comfort, like, go out, figure out how to get it done, make a plan, and go and do it. Because especially if you was in the military or in most aspects of life, you have enough experience to change your direction and go out and achieve it.
Now we're going to get to the elders, right? To those who have already lived life past an age of 60, and they're saying, hey, I don't think I can do it anymore. The best that I can do is give my advice, right? What would you say to that person who's now feeling that they're too old, they've passed that time? What would you say to that person?
Well, on the advice piece, no matter if you're young or old, I want to take your advice. I want your knowledge and input, your experiences, because that's going to help me develop and grow. But for any age group, you never want to put a cap on your full capability, because the truth is you don't know it. Because until you roll over and you're done and you experienced it, that means you could have went a little bit farther. You can drive it a little bit more. At about, I say I was about 30, 28, 29, 30. I was in a situation where my boss sent away both my employees to go away. They were the only two that did that job and left me to go do it. And we was coming up on our largest operation. And I tried to talk him out of it so many days in a row. And I had peers go and talk to him. I had everybody try to influence him, and eventually he came to me. We respect each other a lot. And he said he just want me to make it happen. And at that time, the next day or maybe at lunch, one of my mentors, I went to lunch with him, and he was there with his mentor. And his mentor was talking to all of us. I'm staff NCO, Gunnery Sergeant in the Marine Corps. And he spoke to us about the staff NCO creed. And that creed speaks exactly to those things of knowing that perfection is not reachable, but still striving towards it. Knowing that you're always able to get better. So we always are able to get better, no matter what your age is. you just gotta strive for it. You gotta inspire for it. You gotta have that endurance.
Okay, all right. Hey, everybody watching, I think that this was a terrific interview for several reasons, because we now see how a person wants to follow through with ideas and be of service. Meaning that their ideas have goals for personal achievements, such as going to law school, to be a lawyer. But to put that in motion, to put that in use in the community, to be of service to the community for upliftment. That's one of the key purposes that he's mentioned, that he's saying, I'm bringing forth, I want to be of service to the community. I want to do it via economic resource. I want to do it through entrepreneurialism. I want to do it through consultation. I want to do it through opening eyes to show how this thing can be done, not only domestically, but also internationally, okay? Numerous factors that come into play. We want to encourage you to go forth and to map out this plan, okay? Put it beyond just an idea, possibly write it down on paper. Sometimes for many people, it's good to write things down on paper so that you can visibly see it and kind of have a checklist by saying, hey, I've done this, I've done this, I've done this. No problem. Others can visualize it and create it all in their mind and follow through. Whatever works. Main point is that you get to that goal. I advise that you get to that goal as fast as possible. Okay? Why do I say so? Because even though you may have a wonderful idea that it might be on the lines of something entrepreneurial, it might be on the lines of something very creative, something ingenious, you may not be the only person who has such a creative idea. And then how many people follow through with those ideas, especially when that idea is at the forefront of their mind? Many cases, you need to move forward when that idea is at the front of your mind to put it in motion so that it can develop to come to fruition. Okay? So I want to say thank you again. If you have any last words, go ahead. I'm going to give this up to you. Again, state your name, state that beautiful term that you have come out with. I love that. And take it away.
So I just want to thank you as well for giving me the opportunity, giving me the motivation, because like I spoke earlier on, sometimes you might get encouraged, sometimes you need that guidance, that the universe provides. I just want to thank you for that. And I encourage everybody to remember, that reactive term, renascent, endure, aspire, Christ, technique, embryogenesis. Like, take those fundamental things and try to apply them to your life and see what actions come out of it. Like, I assure you that you'll be happy with the byproduct of it and the products because you're going to encourage others, you're going to encourage yourself, and you're going to be that much more blessed and prosperous in life. So that's all I have. I'm just thankful.
Alrighty. Hey everybody, thank you again. Dr. Brown here. I want you to go ahead and like the channel. I want you to like this episode. Leave some comments. We both want to hear from you. We want to hear what you have to say in terms of what are some of the ideas. Maybe you have some points to say, hey, this was a great point. I can apply this point to myself. Apply this to my life. Leave it in the comment area. Like the channel and definitely subscribe. Okay? We're signing off for now, but stay tuned for our next video. Okay, everybody? See you soon.